Yes. Hello, everyone, and welcome to my YouTube. My name is Chris Farah, and today we are continuing the journey that is 90 Day Fiance. This is the other way. We are towing, literally, we are towing the American from America to the foreign nation. We are towing them like an illegally parked car, and they are to be picked up in the field by their rightful owner, which is the foreigner. What if that's what it was about? It's not, obviously. The other way, but we call it tow. Hello, everyone. Hi. Hey, great name. Obviously, always the best. Big drink energy, big dick energy, pussy destroyer. As you know, this we're gonna like just check in as people come in, and then I'll start the recap, and then we'll just, go through the whole thing. Hi, Hawaiian dude. Hello. You can't drink without water. No. No. You can't drink. Can you just like write what that says? I am so sorry. It's my own fault. You can't drink. Our water is like, yeah, you can't drink our water is like something. Models? What if your water was like Naomi Campbell? I made that reference. I made a Naomi Campbell reference today to a nice gentleman, a married gentleman, in reference to her walk. I was like, she has an amazing walk, when it comes to Naomi, honey, queen of it. And he did not know who I was talking about. And then I had to explain that reference. So it didn't work. But I'm making you explain your sign. I'm like, I don't learn. Hello, how is everyone doing? Happy September. It's September. We just had an equinox or something. It's definitely the change of a season, which is also great because that's how life works, and it's a visual representation that things change. In fact, that's what they're supposed to do. There is, even in California, no place untouched by time. Though California on faces and California weather surely tries to keep somewhat constant, but it's just not natural. And so seasonally, it's nice to see some change. I went to Washington, D.C. for the dedication of the Khalil Gibran Memorial. And as I flew in, there was just a barrage of trees, mostly green, but certain pockets had edged toward that brick red, kind of like, I guess, the color of the sweater I'm wearing. And it was just obviously so beautiful. And I was so thankful to bear witness to it. And it was like, oh my God. To every season, turn, turn, turn. That is what it is. So, wherever you are in your journey of September, I certainly hope that you're experiencing some amount of peace or relief. And I honestly feel like, again, this whole world right now is fraught and chaotic. And certainly last week, and Jimmy Kimmel and that whole situation, and Charlie Kirk thing is obviously very loud. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel is now back on most television stations, but then certain affiliates can just choose not to have him back. What a crazy time. So I know I certainly have been feeling all over the place, like with my mental health and my nervous system. And I truly cannot give you any peace when it comes to what's happening in national and world events. I mean, I wish I could, really. I have no peace to give myself, and then certainly none to offer. But I can only tell you that, I mean, validate this shit's wild, affirm to you that this shit's crazy. It says you can't drink. Okay. It says you can't drink oil, something like that. It was a Native American thing I was a part of. Okay. Yeah, you can't drink oil. It's true. I mean, technically, I think that people try and like gargle coconut oil or like swish coconut oil. And I feel like maybe I've heard of someone once trying to drink olive oil, and maybe that someone was me. I can't remember if but it's not great. And you surely I'm sorry, I'm going to say this right. You surely shouldn't. It's hard to say. 5 minutes in, my babes, let's start talking about 90 Day. We're going to tow it up season 7. This is episode 3. This is a live recap as we talk about all of these fun fools. Now, did you notice that the episodes have been cut down, honey? They've halved the episode, okay? I mean, right down the middle. I mean, like a subway foot long, and now it's 6 inches. That's what we're getting. You know what I mean? So, obviously, I'll tell you this. Right off the bat, I like this episode, and I'll tell you why. Oh, it's because we didn't have a lot of Madeline. Now, Madeline, and Manon's voices are going to battle for me in disagreeable tone, most disagreeable tone, in that I find them both grating. And mostly because both women from different cultures and, they look wildly different. Both women have such a whiny victim sort of like obviously like shrieky shrillness to their voice that it's a lot. It's a lot. Especially for a girl like me. I have auditory things. So I'm like, whew, honey. So we didn't have one of them, which made it slightly tolerable. And I don't know what's going to happen on the episodes. We get both. So let's dive in. Let's start with Johnny and Chloe, which is how the episode started. We start with him. We get a lot. This whole episode starts with a great, endearing, if not almost American Idol sad contestant story set up for Johnny. I hate to say it like that. And I mean, there's other tropes of that, but if you watch reality shows, maybe that rings a bell, which is, yes, we get his sob story in a very concisely edited format that really hits all of the pain buttons and lets us know this person is pained, broken, has trust issues, and we should root for them while also have an air of, I don't know, all of those things are accomplished. So again, bravo. He has a bunch of medals and signs that say, congratulations, for surfing and such. He's a much lauded pirate. There's one sign that says the only way to give into temptation is to give into it, which I know because I like comfort eating. Oh God, though, the truth of the matter is some things, some things are so hard to say no to in the moment, especially if you are a thrill seeker. I'm not. I'm a pleasure seeker and I'm a comfort seeker. And I certainly love instant gratification. So those things, make that very, very true. By the way, if you haven't yet, please like this video. Please give it a thumbs up as you're in the room. Just like letting the YouTube algorithm know that you're like super into what's happening here, which is just, me talking to you, but also to my microphone. Anyway, so he's hard boiling eggs, honey. He talks about the fact that, well, let me tell you. He had a girlfriend, honey. On New Year's Eve, he comes home to his girlfriend's house, and she's cheating on him. So he leaves. He has nowhere to go. So he moves in with his mom to his mom's house, and he's living with his mom. And then she has a heart attack, and she dies like a week later. Now he lives in her home. He says this, which is truly that kind of wisdom and deep understanding that does come with pain and loss, which is, he says, when he thought about his cheating ex, he thought that was heartbreak, but losing his mom taught him real heartbreak, and he lost a lot of himself. I was told to quote how your trauma, your pain makes you relatable to other people. And it's true, because I think that sometimes when you have gone through things and you have no other sort of choice but to reckon with an ultimate truth, like death is an ultimate truth. Loss is an ultimate truth, and that can manifest in different ways. But when you reckon with that and it's an ultimate absolute, there's no coming back from it. And therefore you sort of stand in the knowing and the surviving of it. And again, because it's like a human process, other people have experienced that too. And as you stand in yours, truthfully, people see you, people see themselves in you, and people feel better. And I think it's like this wildly passive, indirect gift human experience gives humans, which is how, born from like, obviously a super sad thing are people who are able to see this person understands. And even though Johnny might be, a fuckboy pirate, and I'm not saying he's not. And definitely at 32, he's trying to date someone who's 23, and that doesn't seem like it's going to be a good idea. He does seem to understand a loss and a pain that, other people don't. And at the same time, who doesn't? It's Chloe. And I think it's going to be hard to bring those tectonic plates together. And he knows that. You know what I'm saying when I say tectonic plates? Like, obviously, we're just all plates moving and earthquakes come when they get pushed up together. I just don't see a world in which they can lay side by side. And, obviously, we're going to get into a perfect scene about that. But he's obviously very into surfing and she's very into cheerleading. And why I think this is LOL is they often make metaphors and similes based upon their one true love besides each other. Like she has made already like cheerleading different analogies and stuff like that. And here's his. He goes, when he's talking about surfing, he's talking about he has to like commit to a wave, right? Like you're on your board, a wave's coming. You're going to have to like 3, 2, 1, jump on you can tell I don't know how to surf. Jump on your feet, get your balance, get kind of on your knees and start balancing on the water, like Jesus, I'm not quite, again, someone like me, I'm from Newport Beach, Orange County. I've taken one surfing lesson once, honey. It wasn't even on the West Coast. It was in probably Hawaii or something, or maybe even, I don't know, maybe Mexico or something like that. And I really couldn't do it. I should try it again because people who love it. But anyway, having said that, he's like, Chloe's never paid a phone bill. And he thinks that she is money focused. Now, again, she has made her cheerleading analogy about how she has to be okay with being thrown into the air, which was honestly great, and falling on her face. She makes another one, which this one is that she's also has to be used to like her coach yelling at her, like yelling at her face. And then immediately having to go on stage like, hi guys. Ready? Okay. I was like, your coach? Was that your mom? And she's using this metaphor to be like when she's like having to get on the plane. Maybe was her mom the one yelling at her and she feels like she has to get on the plane and be like, yeah, everything's okay with my decision making. I feel good about it. Anyway, it's just interesting. So when she finally gets to Aruba, she gets off the plane and comes out the door and he sees her and she like doesn't see him at first. I'm like, is she faking this? Like, I'm always like, how do you not see like the cameras? Only because it never feels like they come out of a huge room. It always just seems like one corridor. Like you see them. And also from what we know about reality shows, this is like the third take of this, right? Like you've already had to go back and walk again because someone walked into the view and who knows what, right? Anyway, so I feel like it takes her a long time to see him. And then she like she doesn't want to really like enjoy, I say, the greeting with him. She's sort of self-conscious, asks him if she's pale, which is interesting choice. He's like so happy to see her. She's mildly happy. Then they get to his apartment that he's like set up for her as best he can. Like in the sense that he got her a silk pillowcase, which is nice. I'm like, is it that like silk that, is it the ones that come with the scrunchies? Did you get it all of it? Slip silk. Ugh, I love a slip silk pillowcase. I like not the zipper. I think the zippers are annoying, but I like the fold. And I like downlight pillows. There's a 1090 downlight pillow that is fabulous. So if you need my pillow recommendation, it's definitely the downlight 1090. Anyway, with a slip silk pillowcase, truly like luxe. She knows that. He is setting it up for her. He's like, he feels modest about his belongings, though he does have this house. And he has fashioned her some closet space, which is nice, and like some product space. And, he is very aware that she comes from money, that she comes from privilege, and and we all know how she's young. So she gets there and he's immediately, you know, gets her bag and then puts like her full airport bag on his bed. And it's interesting because it feels like some things, once you tell someone like, "Oh, do you really want that there? Like, why would you want that there? That's dirty, that's clean. Is there any other places?" Maybe it is like it feels like people just don't think about it. Like people are blind to dirt they can't see. And dirt they can't see is like outside bacteria slash contamination, and it's like my dad will not take off his shoes when he walks into anyone's house, much less his. Like he does not understand nor considers it enough dirty to walk around the floor of his house with his shoes that are outdoors. And if you say anything about it, he's like, I washed them a couple of days ago. You're like, but yeah, but you today walked outdoors. Today was on the street. Anyway, all that to say, yes, the luggage gets put onto the freshly made bed, but she doesn't want to unpack, which I get. By the way, yeah, like it takes me so long to unpack. I mean, I really will just leave fucking clothes in a bag for like far too long until I'm like, well, I need those clothes and to wear it again. So, same way. Just I literally, I don't know. I have to just take things to the dry cleaner, but I just cannot do it. What a horrible chore. I wish I never had to dry clean, but you'd be surprised how I can't seem to clean clothes well. There's no way to clean clothes well. I think it's a trick. I think it's a scam. I think that sometimes clothes could be like a pyramid scheme because it just feels like you have to just keep putting money into them. Anyway, she wants to take a shower and just chill. And one thing about this house, she's like, well, did you put in the hot water? And he's like, no, no, just like, here's the thing. In Aruba, it's really hot here. So we don't fuck with hot water. It's so expensive for like basically an unnecessary thing because like the water that comes out of the pipes are just as never that cold, like there's never a need for you to get in a hot water bath. It's already hot outside. And she is like, no, get it. I'll pay for it. And he's like, well, babe, it's like $100 a month. And you can tell when she is told that, she considers it like a fool's answer, like, well, who cares that it's 100? And he could have been like, babe, it's I can't do it. It's $5 extra a month. Like she was like, oh, I'll pay for it. I'll pay for it. I'll pay. But I'm like, with what money? You're gonna make your mom pay you an extra $100 to get an unnecessary hot water heater for you to turn the water coming out of the faucet 4 degrees warmer than what it already is. It's such an interesting thing. In the okay. There's the okay, how am I gonna say this? Is how I pause. There's the emotional intelligence of understanding your body and space and time, and understanding that like you aren't the main character in the sense that the place you exist, especially if it's foreign to you in any way, has been existing without you already. Period. your wants, your needs, your demands was never infringed upon this site, and it's been living. So to be able to sit back and listen to like, "Oh, babe, we don't do that here. Like, that's not what this place is about." And then to understand it's because it's so hot here, you don't need to, and it would be unnecessary. I wonder Yeah, I wonder if there's a way for her to realistically hear that and be like, oh, instead of being like, I'll do it, be like, oh, they don't do it here. I'm going to have to acquiesce. I'm going to have to compromise. I'm going to have to change and frame myself to live how this is going to say, I can't think of a better way to say this, how the natives live, but in the sense of, and I mean that anywhere. Like you couldn't go, you can't go to the countryside of like most countries, let's just say France, like a little town in France, and scream to a shopkeeper about not having strong Wi-Fi, right? They'd be like, well, okay, then that's how you feel about, well, who cares? I mean, they probably do have strong Wi-Fi. I have no idea. But my point of the story is at some point you understand where you are in space and time, and that you don't get to have everything you want, especially if they don't have it there. You are the one that compromises, that surrenders to what is actually there, what is realistic. I don't see that happening for her. And in this one small moment, I kind of love it. Because the truth is, even if I do feel bad for Johnny, which I think I do for his backstory and such, there's still a part of me, and I feel like maybe this isn't fair, but whatever. There's still a part of me that obviously finds their age gap unforgivable for him. I think that if you are 32 and you're with a 23-year-old, and if you are a man, and if you are a woman, you're setting yourself up for a hard time. For yourself. I mean, I just don't believe anyone at 22 or 23, especially whatever, like someone, and especially like Chloe, could be considered mature enough or what enough to be marriage material, and then for you to impose on that person that you want to settle down, which is something else Johnny has said. I think he's not being realistic. But then neither is she, which is great because then you just have two of a similar lost soul imposing their own wants and unrealistic needs on someone, and they're being filmed. I mean, this is what it's made of. This is what dreams are made of. This is what we buy the tickets for. Okay. Madeline and Luke. So I like them. I like them, obviously. Madeline and Luke. So we didn't have a big part of them and hardly that much of her, but we have a little bit, and so we'll talk about it. So he slept at a friend's house by LAX, which I was like, oh, okay, by LAX is like by my old school, like by LMU, which by the way, I just left LAX and drove by LMU. I was somewhat shocked by the area around like Sepulveda and La Tijera. It seems very depressing. There's a lot of like empty shops, but there also was a brand new Target. Anyway, all that to say, that's where he was. I was like, were you off 83rd? Well, like 9, whatever. He's packing his fur, and he decided to get there a day early to surprise her. Why? We have no idea. His dad comes to pick him up again, and we're happy about that because that dad has that crazy English accent, but he's also like by way of South Africa, sort of sounds Australian. But you know what? The things that come out of his mouth are gems. So we get this, I feel like, dumb, not needed, I guess, extra layer of bullshit, which he's like, yeah, the wedding planner said that there's more costs and I'm going to have to contend with that. When it's like, well, you don't have any money. So any cost is going to be drama for you if we follow the storyline that you are just lying to this woman about how much money you have, and that's why you don't live with her, is because you basically, I don't know what you do, like save up enough money every 6 months to go spend 1 week with her and pretend that you like are a low level thousandaire. I mean, who knows? But anyway, God bless. He also sets this other thing up that she wants to make sure that the property he buys, because remember, this broke person, for some reason, is preparing to buy like a resort. He didn't say motel. He said resort. And that she wants him to put both their names on it. Now that makes sense because they're going to be 50-50 owners of it. And they're going to be marriage people. So why would you own the property and all the business of the resort? Actually, I kind of like, I'm on her side. But here's the thing, it wouldn't be a problem if he had any money to his name, because this would just be one of his offshoot ventures. But, you know, he would have been rolling in his engineer sunglasses money, but that's not what's happening. So his dad, who's of course driving him to LAX, which is a little bit confusing because you're like, you could really just take an Uber. Like, it feels like, how close is your dad? I mean, I'm just saying, but whatever, is like, well, you have to stand your ground or you're going to be mincemeat. Now, mincemeat is a specific word. And then his dad's also like, I'm going to have to send you a pair of nuts for Christmas. I mean, first of all, we're like, oh, low key, you definitely have watched the first season to know that your son has been in a grip, in a vice, if you will, where he has, I mean, no feeling left in whatever you gave him downstairs. And if you did give him something, it shouldn't come like at Christmas. It should have come like, I don't know, when he was born. Him and his father seem like two lovely souls from different times and places. Like, they don't really look alike. They don't even seem like they're from the same era. Of course, they don't have the same accent. I don't see his influence on his son at all. Which, I mean, I'm not saying I have to, but in the sense of, you know, there's people that you walk around life and you're like, oh, look at those two human bodies in front of me. It's very obvious that they are related. Oh, and upon closer inspection, they are sisters, or, oh, that one came from that one. I can literally tell by the shape of their calves because they're very specifically shaped side by side together, like two, like a mirror. And what I'm saying is, yeah, I mean, you know, nothing about these gentlemen radiate a sharing of a home for multiple years. I would have loved to know what his dating history has been like from his dad's point of view. Like, does he always get with sort of like ball busty, take charge women that he lies and cowers around and sort of feels like he has to, I don't know, not know how to handle? I'm just wondering. But he also tells his dad, which I'm not quite sure why, but moving on, about the stripper situation, about the bachelor party situation, and exactly what we know, how this happened and he did it, and Madeline's going to be mad about it, which is like, yep, you're hitting every check off of the list. It's like, I wrote this down. This whole talk is a foreshadow. It feels like his dad is giving like a Cockney rebuttal to his choices, but it's a foreshadow of all the drama that's going to be follows for the season. Well, Madeline's going to be mad because I'm not going to give enough money to the wedding planner to get the thing that she wants in time, like a helicopter, or there's some bullshit. And Madeline's going to be mad because I'm going to like fight her about putting her name on the thing. And Madeline's going to be mad about the fact that I got a stripper's butt and pair of boobies in my face and it's on TV, and, you know, like for my bachelor party, which I was supposed to have, you know, like, we do know that these things are going to cause her to scream. And as I've already said, it's not my favorite thing to hear. And I know what's going to happen. It's almost like Jack in the Box. Like, it feels like it's this thing where they keep winding, and he keeps warning us and warning his dad and whatever himself about all the ways in which she's going to get upset and be upset at him. And it's like every word is him turning the lever, and we are waiting to be like suddenly and viciously attacked verbally by her and him. I mean, she's verbally attacking him, but we are in the presence of it, and therefore like, wah! You know, it's just whatever. So So sweet. Yay. So it also lets us have a little backstory with dad where he's like, you know what though, you moving sort of reminds me of me, kid. Yep, good old me. When I left my family in South Africa, it required me to take a journey, take a big leap of faith, and that's what you're doing. And then at the airport, he hands his son a check. And then, I mean, Luke decides to just tell us how much it is, which I thought was kind of tacky, but that's just me. But it's $3,000. And he says he has a really good dad, and he certainly does. And he certainly does. I was like, is that $3,000 just supposed to go right to the wedding? Because again, if you need $3,000, how are you buying a resort? Is that bitchy for me to say? I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm not saying $3,000 is a lot of money and a beautiful gift to give your son. Anyone, I would like $3,000. Truly, just give me a super chat of it right now. I mean, or I don't know if you can. I think I lost my monetization, but I'll get it back. But like, basically, I would like you can Venmo me. All that to say, who the hell is buying a resort if you're like getting gifts of $3,000 for you to live on? Okay, so let's move. You know what? Since we've already established that there are screaming people in our lives, let's move on to Manan and Anthony. And this is a lot. Now I do have a little off-screen, a little Instagram update because I like that kind of stuff. So Manan and Anthony are running through that airport, honey. Now he just got done telling her to her face that he is solo parenting, and she has not had a good reaction to it, which I would have not told her while I guess in travel, unless you really want a good TV. She's sitting on it and fuming. She's like, I am not the kind of person that forgives and forgets. I have to just sit on it, stew and swallow because I'm in the middle of possibly a 3 layover day with a kid that hates me. And we have, an absurd amount of luggage, what we'll get to. But before we actually land, at one point, they have middle seats. Now, I'll say that they do have middle seats on this aircraft. They did look like somewhat bigger seats. So I'm like, okay, it looks like they have business class, like a business class transatlantic flight that I believe is taking them right to Marseille. Like, I can't quite tell where their layover is once they cross. Like, I mean, I'm saying cross or whatever, but to me, they left LA and they had to go to either Atlanta or New York and from there move on. At one point, when they do land, she says that she's in Marseille. And again, all that to say, and again, I don't know for 100%, the main Paris airport is Charles de Gaulle. Like, that's the international airport. So I wonder where they made a layover. Why do I care about that? I don't know. I love France. I do love. It makes me upset that she is kind of like such a very angry, negative, loud Nancy soul on this, because I think that it's a weird view of French people in France. She hates French people, but she herself is intolerable. So you're like, well, it's who's real, who's not, a little bit. So we get to see her parents. There's Sabrina, the mom, and then her dad, who calls her beautiful, and they both cry. Then they get to, of course, have some time with Ben. The mom is so thankful to have time with her grandson and Grandpa Lulu as well. Manan starts, really releasing a lot of anger. And it felt like anger or sadness. Maybe sadness is underneath it, but anger in the sense of how shrill sounding and complaining her voice was. She calls herself a failure for having come back. And her parents to be like, no, you're not a failure. You made this beautiful family. She's like, no, fuck them. I was supposed to be the next. I don't even know who you were supposed to be. I guess Tess Holiday. Manon, and the reason why I say that is because I don't know, besides being a plus size influencer, which is great. I guess in my mind, I'm like, well, what is that? What are you trying to do? I guess in my mind, like, if Manon was a fashion designer, that would make more sense. If she wanted to be a model, that would make sense. If she was a kind of host style personality and wanted to have her own network or television show or community that sort of talked about topics and engaged in conversations, all of that makes sense. But to us, she's been gifted only the title of like a social media content creator and marketer slash like BBW influencer. But I've never known, like, but the influencer is like not the end game. I mean, I don't know who it is the end game for. I feel like there's usually a niche of it in some kind. So all that to say, exactly what did you fail? Just living in Los Angeles? Was that it? Or living in America? Because you can still content create and put on fashion shows and definitely do your internet marketing company from like anywhere you are. Okay, all that to say. And now you get free healthcare. I mean, because you obviously weren't getting it through your company. Okay, I don't know. Okay, so let's move on. Oh, I wanted to show you this before I move on. It's just, yeah, they're moving, but they have so much luggage. And then I thought, like, yeah, like, is this just literally all their stuff? But like, you only can bring things, you can't send things? Did you have to buy all of those rollies and then a strap to carry them all? Also, what is like your baggage fees for that kind of stuff? Because like there's baggage fees for like after 2 checked. I think you get 2 checked and then there's baggage fees. So if you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, I guess technically you only have 3 over 2-person 2 checked. If that makes sense. When I saw him pulling them, I was just like, wow, honey, solo parenting, solo luggaging. No, she's carrying on the side. Yeah, but they really hate each other, and his family knows it. I mean, for what feels like a white family, his family, I'm sure, is just every time that she leaves a room, just like, oh my God, he's trapped. I mean, she is angry all the time, seemingly. Now, she has been aware of how her story has come off and she's unhappy about it. She basically went on Instagram and was like, I'm getting an unfair edit. You guys don't see everything. Let me tell you how reality shows work. You don't see all the conversations when it's like, let us tell you how reality shows work. We know that. Why don't you? We've been watching this show. Seems like you just started on your first season. I don't know what to tell you, like, yeah, we know that. But we also know that this happened and you allowed it to. You allowed yourself to seemingly scream and having lost your shit multiple times already in what feels like a week's time. I mean, that's what my eyes are seeing. So sure, there's been more conversations. We don't want to see them all. I would rather not. I don't want to see boring ass shit. I mean, so I don't know what's going to happen with her, but she seemingly is getting a lot of anger and hate online. And I wonder if she ever did before. Like, I wonder if everything that she's ever posted was visual before and edited in a way that her personality wasn't so visible. Her true colors weren't so shown. Let's move on to Jenny and Sumit. So, obviously we know that they're opening up a cafe and, it's doesn't look good and we don't know exactly where it's going to be. And we're picking the spot that has more foot traffic, that has no water, that is tiny. And so now we're going to go we're going to go kitchen appliance shopping. But instead of going to Sears like our parents did in the 90s, they're going to their friend Rohit's. shitty storage room, graveyard where his bad, shitty past ideas gather cobwebs. Now, Rohit had been on the season prior because he had offered Sumit a job. And so now we're trying to like piece together. Okay, so Rohit offered you a job, Sumit. You said yes to the job. We saw him be like, okay, you have to work 7 days a week. And then you be like, well, that's not going to be great. Not for me. I'm totally fine with that. Seems reasonable. But just my wife, Jenny, she's demanding. And then Rohit be like, oh, your wife is da 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 da. Okay. That was the last season. And since then, that was last season. Sumit takes that job, somehow is doing so well that he gets Jenny and him a brand new home that's gated. But since then, Rohit and him had to close that space down, and this is the leftover equipment from that space. But then Rohit in this scene is like, I'll tell you why we shut down. Let me just get it clear. It's because, instead of me being like, can you work 7 days a week, 14 hours a day, this motherfucker would come in, open up for like 2 to 3 hours, and then just close. And then someone would be like, why isn't your restaurant open? And I would call him and be like, oh, Jenny wanted me to Jenny. So I couldn't because Jenny, okay. Sumit's blaming Jenny. And it's not right. Sumit does nothing if not somehow acquiesce to like the most powerful woman in the room, but also like blame them, but also be obsessed with and love them. It's, I hate to talk about myself, but here we are. So right now I'm doing this Chekhov intensive, right? Chekhov's this Russian playwright. I really love him. I talk about this a lot, maybe not, I'm not quite sure, but just so sorry if this is annoying to you. Basically, whatever, God bless. One of Chekhov's master plays is The Seagull. And in The Seagull, there is this actress who is 43, her name is Arkadna, and she has a son, Konstantin, and a lover, Trigorin. Her relationship with her son is interesting because she's like a famous actress, and she's like, and back in the day, this is like the turn of like Russian like Bolshevik revolution, all that stuff that Chekhov and Stanislavski, whatever, revolutionized theater, and it went from like that kind of presentational style that was like somewhat big to a more realistic, naturalistic style that we see and now know to be modern theater. That's what that is. All that to say, in the play, there's this kind of like battle between the son and the mother. The mother is like somewhat older fashioned style. The younger son is like an avant-garde. The younger son is obsessed with having the mother's love and approval, right? And the mother has like somewhat disgust over her son. And the son has disgust over the mother and also obsessed with her and like, blames her and hates her and, needs her, all that stuff. And it's so Sumit that it's like, it's kind of Oedipus, I guess. It's that Oedipus thing. And relationships with your parents are really weird. But yeah, he's just constantly with Rohit, letting Jenny bear the brunt of why the restaurant failed in the first place. And at the same time, then trying to get Rohit to just give him the equipment free. And when free doesn't work, he says on credit. But when he says on credit, we all know that he means free, that he's not going to pay him back. He's going to do whatever it takes not to pay one monthly payment of this man's thing. Now, this man, I don't know what he was planning on doing with any of this shit, but it's collecting dust. And again, we all know one more thing, which is that he's on TV. So his payment for any of this kitchen equipment could have just been get me on TV. But if that was the case, I would have liked Rohit to, at least been peddling whatever his new business is. Jenny gets a little dig in for him. Now, one dig she says is that He isn't even married. So what the fuck does he know? Which is a little like, okay, I mean, Jenny, where are you, like from the 1950s? I mean, also, no offense, Jenny, but don't use that like as any sort of defense, because no one's going to look at Sumit and be like, well, he is married to Jenny, so he won. You know what I'm saying? No one's going to even look at Sumit and think, well, at least he's married, because a lot of people will think that he, how do I say this, settled in some way. I'm not saying he did, but what I'm saying is you should take that off the table as like you're better than someone else because of that. Now, the better, more obvious choice is to make fun of Rohit for not being able to stick to a fucking plan or get one business off the floor. Now, has her or Sumit? No. If they had, well, they wouldn't be in this predicament. They wouldn't be living with his parents. You know, it's like, yeah, what? Hmm. She's got to do something besides make spaghetti. I mean, she's got to do something besides make the spaghetti. They end up getting the griller and the deep fryer. And we also do realize that Rohit had eaten her spaghetti, and he has the audacity to laugh in her face about it. I mean, in her face, just laughs. She's like, "Why are you laughing?" He's like, "Because I ate that fucking dumbass spaghetti." um. So anyway, yeah. She just says your business closed, and my spaghetti still around, still kicking, still slurping, still twirling my spaghetti. So who's a bitch now? I wish she had, but she didn't. Yeah, they get the whole thing for 35,000 bloopity bloops, and they have 1 month credit, which he's never going to pay. Okay, Greta and Matthew. So they get to have a little beautiful FaceTime, and he is stressed, is talking about the fact that it's manifesting itself in, I mean, a huge ass pimple, a huge ass zit. I wish he didn't say this. I'm like, Nat didn't even need to know that, you know, like that's the kind of thing that I say when my mouth won't stop. But I like to think that my mouth doesn't stop around people I'm nervous with. But if I'm like with someone and I'm gonna like move in and be with that person, like I hope that I'm not so fucking uncomfortable and nervous that I say such things where I'm like verbal diarrheaing. But you know, he's, I guess, being relatable. She says, "Don't worry, honey, I will still make love to you." And then he's like, "Yes, you'll still love me. Is that what you said?" And we're like, "No, that's not what she said." Little English gentleman, honey. Nope, she didn't say that. She said she'll still make love to you. She's gonna hump that zit. She changes it quickly to yeah. But also, are you looking at an apartment for us? Now, we didn't even know that was on the table because we've been knowing that she knows that she's going to have to live with his parents for a whole hot ass second. So we didn't quite assume that he was going to have to already be looking for places. Because I guess in my mind, I'd be like, well, why don't you just have him wait for you to get there so that you can also look at the places? Don't you want to know? Like, don't you care? I care. I mean, I'm controlling. I would want, like, I don't know. Only because, yeah. I guess my other question is this. Okay. Most times when you want to get an apartment, there's like not that much. You can't really do too much looking before, or like you can't really look before 3 months. You really can't even look before 1 month. You know, like it's usually apartments get 30 days of a tenant to tell them they're going to leave, and that's what happens, and that's how they turn over. So if you need an apartment, you can start looking like 3 months in. But if you don't find anything, because technically every apartment you're seeing has a move-in date that's before you need to get in there because it's in the month timeline, know that obviously when you get an apartment, you usually will find something 1 month before you need to move or somewhere within that time. All that to say, the reason why, again, she is not moving directly with him into an apartment is they don't have like the money or the funds, which then makes me think, are you going to have those money and funds within the next 3 weeks? Like, is a huge check coming in? Is that what you're just waiting on? Like a huge ass check? An investment thing popping up? Only because seems to me you're probably going to have to wait like 2 to 3 months. So if you're already waiting 2 to 3 months, you might as well get some like looks on the place yourself so you can see what you will live in. Okay, so she's wearing, by the way, a really pretty like butter yellow dress. I mean, half of me is like a little like that butter yellow trend happened so hardcore, and I knew instantaneously that color was not for me, would never be for me. Like it's just like this kind of that butter yellow was like, it's not ivory, it's not yellow, it's not gold. It's like this white, airy Ariana Grande of a voice of any sort of exciting color. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's because I'm just not the season for it. And she's I think she looks great in it. She's like, "Yeah, okay, well, you're supposed to be looking for a place." And he's like, "Yeah, but I didn't actually do that because as you know, I have been very busy." And she's like, "No, I don't know that. That's why I asked. Or I obviously didn't think you were busy enough to not do the thing I wanted you to do." And she's like, "Your parents' house is really small." And he's like, "We call that cozy over here in Breton." um his parents' house is in the country, and so they're both vegan. Obviously they met on vegan Tinder, and we know that she had super liked him, which was a bold move for a bold gal. And so one thing she's like, "Well, is there going to be room in the refrigerator for our food or whatever?" And he's like, "Yeah, fridge schmidge, but let's talk about that freezer." Nope, because I'll tell you what's in the freezer. It's filled with lamb's ribs cage and pig innards. His dad was a butcher. It's so funny because of how basic I was raised when it comes to meat. I was raised so city folk by like a dad who like wasn't, you know, a big game hunter or whatever, that like I all of that is so foreign to me. I can't even say it. Lamb's rib cage? What? Lamb? And again, I'm gonna tell you this right now. Not right. I'm Syrian Lebanese. I should easily stomach lamb, and I fucking don't. Nope. I can't do lamb. I can't do goat. I can't do venison. I can't do rabbit. I don't do goose or duck or boar or bison. I don't do alligator. I don't do snails. I don't understand this world. Like anyway, I am the most basic person. I'm just like, please give me ground beef, steak, chicken with no bones. Sure, if it's breaded, if it's a nugget, fine. Like I wish I wasn't like that. Like I'm not like her parents have a obviously a much more grounded, realistic under I don't know, and I think a better dignified relationship to animal and protein than I do. But oh my God, when they said those things, I was like, well, you can't put anything in that freezer then. Can't even live in that house. I don't know how to live in that house. um, so basically, they have a conversation about Hazel. Now we know Hazel is being the cat that she's been taking care of, and she has to rehome. And he's like, yeah, I'll be honest. Now we're talking about the fact that you're gonna have to rehome Hazel. I never really liked Hazel. Not so much Hazel's fine, but just your relationship with Hazel. When you're with Hazel, I'm invisible. I'm like Mr. Cellophane from fucking what is it? Fosse's Chicago. Like you don't see me, no one sees me, no cat sees me. But let me tell you about this apple. Let me show you my big boy apple. I'm like, why did you name your fucking cat after Gwyneth Paltrow's firstborn? But I don't know. So then he tries to grab a cat and be like, forget about your cat. Feast your eyes on Apple. And she's like, no, Apple's fine, but Apple's no Hazel. Now, the streets, honey, on the Reddit streets, we got this post from one of the members of the Wives Club. Hello, I'm one of the members of Greta's Wives Club. She's right. It really should be called the Grandma's Club. And I just wanted to clarify something after seeing the discussion online. By the way, this is like the most boring, but I'll just do this for this benefit, I guess, of like talking. So, in the sense of it, she seemingly is like going to write clear up a horrible misunderstanding, but let me just tell you what the misunderstanding is. Greta agreed to take Hazel in around 2 years ago to get the poor kitty out of a tough situation. The show was edited to suggest that she's had Hazel all 10 years of her life, and that's just not the case. Greta did tons of research and prep to potentially bring Hazel with her to the UK, but that entire process would have been traumatizing to an elderly cat, and that's the last thing Greta would have wanted, which is why this entire situation came from Greta putting Hazel's quality of life above her own feelings. She placed Hazel with some fellow animal lovers and keeps in close contact with them and with Hazel, honestly. Rehoming Hazel was hard for Greta, and it wasn't a decision she took lightly, which I think show made it appear that way. Greta's the best, and Hazel is very happy kitty. So I don't know. People came to fucking Greta's Instagram and was like, "How dare you leave this cat?" um, I just think it's funny though. So we will see what happens. I think that they're going to have to make some money. I don't know. I forgot how she said she was going to make money there. Oh yeah, because she said she obviously can't be a barrister slash lawyer, and she's going to volunteer, but she needs to, get some get some of those pounds, honey, so they can get that apartment running. Oh, my loves, there ends the episode that we are going to talk now that I'm done. But can you believe that's what those people are up to? That's what's happening. What what lives? What hopes, what dreams? And like I think that we really want the best for definitely Greta and definitely Hazel. We want the best for Luke's dad. And I really have some concern for Ben, who is Manan's son, because I have now seen too many episodes in a row where this little boy, and I mean child, baby, toddler, has definitely had to listen to his mother scream already far too many times for a week's period. I've heard it too many times, and I'm not even him. This is, it's, um, I feel like, yeah, I guess that baby's right there. And I wonder if in the times in which he's screaming, if you were like, calm down, do you know that Ben has just been looking at you this whole time, taking in how emotionally relegated, sorry, you're not regulated, you're emotionally unregulated, how unstable you are, and how scary it must seem for a child to witness his parent like losing their shit over who knows what? It must seem like a very fearful moment for someone who doesn't know how to deal with it. Like, are you aware of how your sound and behavior could be construed to the child you created who's just staring at you? Like, look at that child's eyes while watching you. And what do you think this person is experiencing that might live with them for the rest of their fucking life? Just wondering if you're aware of that. Because this is like prime time for all of that trauma to just tattoo itself. Unstableness, screamingness that you're going to do something wrong, that you're watching your dad who you love, like take exasperated sigh after exasperated sigh. It feels like people are walking on eggshells. I mean, for someone who doesn't understand all of the like human behaviors, just to hear and witness screaming and the agitation and like nervous system complete beat change must be jarring, is all I'm saying. I in fact know it is. And so for to have, I guess, her like go online and I mean really like on Reddit they said have a whole long Instagram live defending herself. I also like wonder if just low key if she did take those moments to see her son be on screen having to watch her meltdown and then think how that must have been like for him. All right, my loves. Well, please, if you haven't yet, go ahead and you can follow me at Chris L. Fair on Instagram, on TikTok. I have a Substack. I wrote a little spooky poem, as one does for the season, which is, of course, what we talked about. Maybe I'll read it for you as we end. Thank you guys so much, by the way, for being here and talking with me. If you haven't yet, obviously like this video, subscribe, make sure that you get your notification button. And then also comment after it processes and goes live. Okay, here's my spooky love poem for the season. Give me a happy ghost, a joyful ghost, a ghost no one could fear. Dark rooms and creeps are grandma's lap, where delight, not fright, brings tears. Try and spook me if you must, but you should know I love white sheets. Like this paper, where my pen does try to trick you with witty treats. But I can't go on in terror without one committed soul. So where are you, my happy ghost, my eternal mate, oh wanderin' donut hole? Try and scare me or make me jump, but what could give me cause? That I'm the reason that I'm without, and not one thing can bring more straws. When in the last moments of my breath, as I grapple with truths now known, I look to grab an unattached hand where the silent space screams you're alone. You see, I am haunted already, so ghosts can do no harm. A happy ghost, a best friend ghost, come and be on my arm. Try and avenge you, I can do, or just listen to your song. Ooh. For eternity will live as one, yet it won't feel very long. You'll have me, and I'll have you, and every night we'll both say boo. Well, babes, I'm going to let you guys go. But thank you guys so much for listening and being with me on this live. I hope you have a great rest of your week and that you're, taking care of yourselves and like carving in some time for your own selves. This has been and has been just it's hard for everyone. I think a lot of people are going through things. I mean, we know what's happening in the world, and layered on top of that, we just don't know what someone's personal struggle is. So if you can move with some sort of amount of grace or compassion, I would say to remind yourself if you can. I'll do the same. That's all we can kind of do is try. All right, my loves, I'll talk to you later. Okay, so take care of yourselves, one another, and make art. Stand up for what you believe. I'll do it again. I did it so bad. Take care of yourselves and one another. Stand up for what you believe. Make art when you can. Okay. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you later. All right. Bye.